Alright, this is our place value with the decimals in mind. You'll see that we've got a decimal right here, and we've got a decimal right here. Now, as we talked about in class, the decimal is read simply as and. A whole number and a piece of another number. So if we were going to read this number, or if I were to ask you which one of these digits in this number right here is in the ones place, well, you know where the 1 is. It's the first place to the left of the decimal. Here's the decimal, here's the left place. So in this digit, here is our decimal, here is the first place to the left. So our 6 is in the ones place. Can't really write that good, but you get the point. Now, if I were to ask you which digit was in the tenths place, that's THS, that's this place right here. The tenths is located the first place to the right of the decimal. Here's the decimal, here's first place to the right. Here's the decimal, here's the first place to the right. So, which digit in this number is in the tenths place? Our 0 is. Now, if I were to ask you which one of these digits is in the millions place, but again, we come over here to our chart, find our decimal, and we keep reading these until we come to the millions place. Aha, here's the millions. So here's the decimal, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places over. Let's get back to our number. Here's our decimal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our 9 is in the millions place. If I could write a 9 in here, well, you understand what that's supposed to be. So to find the place value is just a matter of knowing where all of these are at, and the best way to do that is to commit them to memory. Now, by now, you've probably gotten a good idea of how to read the decimals. But if I were to ask you how to write the decimals, would you know how to do that? Consider the decimal 7/10. Here it is in word form. If I were to ask you to write 7/10 in standard form, what would you write? This is our clue, the tenths place. Here is our tenths place, 1 place to the right of the decimal. Here's a decimal, here's a tenths. So what we would need to do is first write our decimal. And then, since the tenths place is 1 place behind the decimal to the right, we simply take our 7 and write the number 7. So to write 7/10 as a decimal is .7. What if I ask you to write 7/100? Well, pretty much like we did on the 7/10, we first find the decimal, and then see how many places to the right our hundreds fall. Here's our decimal, and here's the hundreds. So the hundreds is 1, 2 places over to the right of the decimal, or behind the decimal, however you want to say it. So how would we write this? We have to indicate that it's 2 places over. If we get it too close, it's going to look like 7/10. Here's our dot, here's our decimal. And if we have a line and a line, put our 7 right here, because this is 1, 2 places over. This is 1, 2 places over. But we can't just leave this line here. When you write decimals in the real world, you don't go around writing lines underneath the number. So what do? We simply add a 0. So to write 7/100ths in decimal form, we write 0.07. I'm going to slide this up here. This right here, just simply for more room. I should have had this already planned out, but there we go. What if I were to ask you to write 7/1000ths? Again, we use the same. All right, so you've got 7/1000ths. And again, here's our decimal place. The thousands is 1, 2, 3 places over. So we would draw our decimal point and 1, 2, 3 places over. We would put our 7 right here, but instead of leaving these 2 blanks, well, empty, we need to fill them with something. We don't want to add to the value. We need just 7/1000ths. So just like with the hundreds, we added a 0 in the tens place. Here we will add a 0 to the tens place again, and we will add a 0 to the hundreds place. This is to let people know that we have nothing in the tens, nothing in the hundreds, and a 7 in the thousands. So if we were going to write this the real way without any lines, we would simply write 0 or 0.07 for 7/100ths, 0.007 for 7/1000ths, and of course 7/10ths is just like we see at 0.7. So that's probably pretty good on writing 1-digit decimals. But what if we had a decimal that required 2 digits, such as 25/100ths? 25, as you know, has 2 digits, and we want it in the hundreds place. Now the thing about decimals, there can only be 1 digit in each place value. But we need 25/100ths. What do? Well, one thing we do is we just go ahead and look at our decimal point. Note that the hundreds place is 2 places over. Oh, and we've got 2 digits in our 25/100ths. So what we need to do is just put a point 25. That's how we would write 25/100ths. We have a 2 in the tens place and 5 in the hundreds place. And whatever digit is in the last place value, that's the place value that we read. So in this case, 0.25 is 25/100ths. What about the decimal 25/1000ths? This is a little bit different than 25/100ths. The thousands, here's our decimal, 1, 2, 3 places over. So we need our 5 to be in the thousands place. Then we'll have our 2 in the hundreds place. But that leaves our tens kind of empty. So instead of having 0 to 5, because you know how our handwriting is, if we were to leave it like that, somebody may mistake this for 25/100ths. Just like we did a while ago with our 7/100ths and 7/1000ths. In order to show you that there is nothing in the tens place, we simply put a 0 in front of it. Okay, now it's your turn. If I were to ask you how to write 5/10ths, what would you write? You know what to do. Go ahead and pause the video and write your answer down. How would you write 5/10 in standard form? Go ahead and pause the video. All right, is that what you wrote? Did very good. And of course, we're not done. How would you write 5/100 in standard form? I'll go ahead and just pull all of them out. And you write each one of these in standard form. Then you know what to do. Pause the video. And here is one that we have not gone over. Consider it a bonus. 342,000. How would you write 342 thousandths as a decimal? Notice you got 1 digit, 2 digit, 3 digits. Can you write that? Pause the video and let's see how you do. How'd you do? Let me know.